Okay, good morning. So we are starting the remaining part of Lab 4. So last day we had seen in detail what is the stability criterion and all those things. And afterwards, throughout the week, we have seen what is meant by Vivo stability and how to find impulse response, step response. So all those things we are going to see today. And we are going to, so you should be having pen and paper with you, or later on you have to listen to this 2 hours lecture again. So whatever cases we are doing, the same cases you have to repeat, but with a different pole position. So if we do some 20 cases now, so this is experiment number 4 we are doing. Last day we had discussed what is meant by stability, what are the different conditions of stability. All the notes have been uploaded. You can find out. A lot of material have been uploaded yesterday night on solution of mechanical and electrical system modeling. So please check that. And now today what we are going to do is a very important thing, which is called as the uh, response of any system for impulse input, step input, ramp input, and from there we will find what is called as the stability criterion. So how do the stable response look like? How do the unstable response look like? So we will see various pole position, and for that we will find various responses of the system. So my request to all of you is, please keep a pen and paper, okay? Because I might not be keeping track of all those things, but you should be able to find out how many cases are there, and later on you should do all those cases and submit the experiment results. So all those outputs, you are supposed to take the screenshot, and a request, whenever you are taking the screenshot, don't paste the full screen in the your document. Only paste the graph. Okay, so if the whole screen looks like this big, inside that graph is there only in small position, you just cut that small portion of the graph, and then you paste it in your whatever document you are preparing. So that is one thing I found while checking the experiments, so please don't do that. Fine, so let us start with some more discussion on stability we will do. So you have to go through the chapter number 5. So this is page number, I think this is page number 217. So all of you first write down in your note, that is page number 217. So this is page number 217 of the book M. Gopal. You have to go through before you are actually finding a solution, or actually you are doing the write-up. So what it says is, it says something about bounded input and bounded output. Now you have done something which is called as convolution. So what is the exact application of convolution? You will find here. Okay, so this is, first thing is experiment number 4. This is stability, step response, impulse response, ramp response. All those things we will see how to find it. It's very easy actually. So open your MATLAB window, 2 codes I had given you last day. So open those 2 codes in 2 different windows and we'll see. Okay, so what we are finding is, so I'll just go through this page number 217. Only 1 or 2 pages we'll go through. So a linear relaxed system. So initially relaxed system, and this is called as linear system. Linear system actually follows two criteria. It follows actually two properties. One is called as, so linear system follows 2 properties. One is called as scalar multiplication, another is called as augmentation. So superposition and scalar multiplication, these are the 2 things linear system follows. We will discuss about it. Linear system will discuss in 3rd or 4th chapter, don't worry. So linear system with initial condition is 0, because that is the basic criteria for transfer function based modeling, is said to have Bibo stability. Bibo stability means bounded input, bounded output. Now I'll tell you what is meant by bounded. Bounded means whenever a signal is given or system response is given, we have to see that x-axis, y-axis, and that graph. Okay, the area between them is actually finite. If you are talking about a exponentially decreasing kind of a graph, you will find y-axis, x-axis and that exponentially decreasing graph. The area between them is a confined area, so that is called as bounded area. So if some system is producing that kind of a bounded area, we call that system. Okay, it is stable for that specific kind of a input. So is said to have Bibo stability if every bounded input results in a bounded output. So every bounded input results in a bounded output. If that is the case, then only we can say that the system is stable. A test for property is readily found using convolution. So convolution means, so in this case what you are finding is YT. So YT is the system response. Now there are two signals. One is the system transfer function. Here transfer function is given by GS. So this is this book. Generally, we have taken forward gain as GS, feedback gain as HS, transfer function as TS. So whatever TS we are saying here, it is saying as GS. So they have taken GS as the transfer function. So don't get confused. So GS is not forward gain here. GS is equal to whatever we used to find as G divided by 1 plus GH. That is what they are taking as a transfer function GS. So you can take the inverse Laplace of that. So whatever transfer function we get GS as per this book, we can take the inverse Laplace of that and we can find GT or we can find G tau. So G tau is nothing but the transfer function of the system. R of t minus tau. So this is a convolved output. Okay, so in convolution, what do is we keep one signal in time domain fixed, the another signal we invert it and take it to the minus infinity, and we then keep on sliding it with the input. And whenever it falls exactly below the previous signal, then they are multiplied and added and all those things. So try to understand what is convolution. So if you want a lecture on convolution, I can arrange for that, because convolution is a thing generally students they can calculate but they don't actually understand what is it. So convolution is actually how the input is reacting with the system transfer function, and we know that system output is equal to system input convolution of system transfer system input convolution of system transfer function. So here it is, or system transfer function convolution and system input, same thing. So yt is equal to gt convolution rt is the input, or rt convolution gt, both produces same result. Now if you are writing the convolution into actual form, it comes like this: 0 to infinity g tau r of t minus tau d tau. So this is actually a time domain convolution thing. If you go into Laplace domain, this will be coming output ys is equal to gas multiplied by rs. So time domain convolution is frequency domain multiplication. So then we find what is called as yt. Okay, so what is the output of yt? So if you are finding that this yt is bounded, okay, so yt is bounded means g tau r t minus tau d tau integration of 0 to infinity. If that is bounded, so that is what they have said later on, that says the absolute value of integral is not greater than the integral, because here it is within a norm. So just they have found out the amplitude. Symbol is immaterial, just find out what is the amplitude of this yt. Okay, so actually it should be bounded. So below it is red if gt delta t is less than infinity. So what we are finding is, for bounded if the system transfer function is bounded. So here we are finding that output is equal to transfer function multiplied by input. Okay, so generally BBOM means bounded input. So we are giving input to be bounded. That means input is having finite energy. In that case, you find that the transfer function is also bounded. So this criteria is what is written here. G tau, that is within that thing, that is absolute value. G tau d tau integrated over 0 to infinity, this is less than infinity. That means this integration should have a finite value. What is finite value? 3, 7, 9, 15, likewise. That means this should not be increasing with respect to time. So whatever is the gt is the transfer function domain, that thing should not increase with respect to time. So in that case, what we are finding is g tau is a confined, or it's a bounded kind of a area. If this is the condition, then we can say that whatever is the system response yt, that will be a stable response, and this system is called as a stable system. So what is meant by Bibo stability? Bounded input should produce bounded output, and to produce bounded output, whatever transfer function we are having, that transfer function integrated over time should produce a finite value. It should not be infinite. Okay, so in that case we can say that system is actually called as bounded output. So here it is written, thus unless the condition 5.4 is this condition, that is gt integration 0 to tau or 0 to g tau integration d tau over 0 to infinity, it should be less than infinity. That means it should produce a bounded area. So that's why they are saying, thus, unless the condition, what is the condition? That is g tau integration 0 to infinity d tau. This should be less than infinity. That means this should be bounded. So unless the condition given 4.5.4 is true, the system is not BIBO stable. So for system to be BIBO stable, bounded input, bounded output, that is the full form of BIBO, bounded input, bounded output. For that thing to happen, we want the g tau should be bounded. So we therefore conclude that a system with impulse response, now this is what we are going to find out today, system with impulse response GT is BIBO stable if and only if the impulse response is absolutely integrable. Absolutely integrable means you are integrating it and getting a finite value, is finite. Okay, area under the absolute value curve of the impulse response GT evaluated from t is equal to 0 to infinity must be finite. So if you take a curve e raised to minus 2t, you are finding that it is actually reaching a bounded area with respect to y-axis and x-axis. These are very important fundamentals. Maybe we are talking very easily about it, but if you see it is written in the book, so please go through this page number 217 and try to understand each and every line. What is the meaning of that? So we therefore conclude that a system, so this is the crux, this is the main point. Therefore, we conclude that a system with impulse response GT is BIBO stable if and only if the impulse response is absolutely integrable and is finite. That means area under the absolute value curve of the impulse response GT evaluated from t is equal to 0 to t is equal to infinity must be finite. So either you listen to my lecture afterwards or you go through this book. Any of these two things you have to do, then you will be able to get the actual feeling of it. So we shall now show that the requirement of the impulse response BIBO stability can be linked to the restrictions on the poles of the transfer function GS given by. So what is the pole position? This is what we are going to see today. What is the pole position that will give system impulse response as finite? That we are going to see. And you know already the condition that if the poles are in the left hand side of S plane, then only you are going to find that the impulse response of the system is going to be finite. That means whatever poles lying in the left hand side of S plane, whenever they are giving a impulse response, that impulse response in time domain will produce an area which will be bounded by y-axis, x-axis, and that curve. So if you want the area to be confined, there is only one condition, very simple condition, the pole should be in the left hand side of S plane. So here they have taken the example of a second order system. Generally, I gave you the example as a first order system. That is Ys by Rs is equal to Gs. So here you can understand what is Gs. So our Gs for block reduction and all those things was only forward path gain. But for them, Gs is Ys by Rs. So don't get confused. So Gs is equal to 1 by a square plus a1s plus a2. So I gave you the example as 1 by s plus 5. 1 by s plus 5 means s plus 5 is equal to 0. So denominator polynomial is equal to 0 is called as system characteristic equation. So I'm just giving you a recap of what all we have done so far. So I give you the example as 1 by s plus 5. They have taken s square plus a1s plus a2. So whatever 1 by s plus 5 I gave you, s plus 5 is equal to 0 was the characteristic equation, s was equal to minus 5. So we got the response ys by rs is equal to, or y or gt we got e raised to minus 5t. And then what is impulse response? Here you can see for impulse response rs is equal to 1. Ys by rs is equal to gs. For impulse response rs is equal to 1 because you are giving impulse input to the system. So what is meant by impulse response? That definition, if they ask this, in that case you have to say that for rs equal to 1, that is impulse, ys is equal to gs. That means, or yt is equal to gt. That means system response is same as system transfer function in time domain. I'll repeat for the last time. Ys by rs is gs, whatever value is given in the right side. For impulse input, rs is equal to 1, ys is equal to gs. That means yt is equal to gt. Yt is nothing but system response in time domain. Gt is nothing but transfer function in time domain. So impulse response is a response of the system which is equivalent to system output when input given to the system is impulse, that is r is equal to 1, and only for that input we find that output is equal to transfer function. So this is the line must come, and only for impulse input output is equal to transfer function, or ys is equal to gs or yt is equal to gt. So whatever gt you are finding, it is e raised to minus 5t, whatever yt you are finding, it is e raised to minus 5t for our system. And next we have to see that what is the position of the pole. So if I give you 1 by s plus 5, then pole was s is equal to minus 5. In that case, yt is equal to gt is equal to e raised to minus 5t. That is a decreasing kind of a curve, and we can find that it's producing a confined area, and y, that means y by s plus 5 is a stable system. We are talking about the stability of a system, okay, for some kind of input. Now they have taken a second order system, s square plus a1s plus a2. Now it can have alpha 1 and alpha 2. So if we are just finding the roots, so s square plus a1s plus a2 is equal to 0 is the characteristic equation. In that case, if you are just finding the roots of that, s minus alpha 1, s minus alpha 2, so these are the two roots, and then ys is equal to a1 by s minus alpha 1, a2 by s minus alpha 2. So yt is equal to a1 e raised to alpha 1t, a2 e raised to alpha 2t. Likewise, so you don't know what is the value of alpha 1 and alpha 2. They can be positive, they can be negative. Okay, so depending on that, yt is equal to a1 alpha 1t, a2 alpha 2t. This is a generalized solution, and depending on the position of alpha 1 and alpha 2, we find out whether yt is stable or unstable. Okay, so if we are finding that alpha 1 and alpha 2 both are negative here, that means s plus alpha 1, s is equal to minus alpha 1, and s is equal to minus alpha 2. In that case, we will be finding that yt is equal to a1 e raised to minus alpha 1t plus a2 e raised to minus alpha 2t. That means both are decreasing with respect to time, and both are asymptotic. What is meant by asymptotic? When one graph is meeting the x-axis at t is equal to infinity, then that graph and x-axis, they are called as asymptotic. So two graphs are asymptotic when they meet at infinite. So they are meeting at infinite means it's creating a closed area. Okay, and that closed area is actually a measure of whether the system is stable or unstable. So in this case, they have found the solution for that. So not necessary that pole should be real always. So alpha 1 can be 2 plus 3j, alpha 2 can be 2 minus 3j, likewise. So whenever imaginary poles are occurring, they occur in pair. Okay, so we will see if the poles are imaginary, then what kind of response we are going to get. So that also we have to check, likewise. So all those things we will see, and finally, this is the most important thing, page number 219. Please remember this plots, and these are the plots we are going to plot now. Okay, so what is a graph? And this graph is very important in GATE. They are asking a few questions. So 3-4 marks question in GATE is coming from this position. So what you are finding here is, so this is a very important thing, please check. So this is page number 219, remember, book of M. Gopal, that is your reference number 1. So this is that S-plane. Okay, whatever we are showing you, this is a S-plane. So this is the x-axis, that is the sigma axis, and this is the geometry axis. So this is the origin. Okay, is what is the position of the pole and what is its time domain impulse response. I'll repeat, what is the position of the pole and what is its time domain impulse response. Now you are finding here alpha is less than 0. We had plotted last. Okay, alpha is equal to minus 5, let's say. If alpha is equal to minus 5, that means the pole is on real axis. So all these graphs, so around 20 graphs we will plot now, and all are impulse response, step response, ramp response, I'm leaving up to you. So around 50 to 60 responses you have to find and you have to show me. Okay, and you have to plot that in your graph paper. So those who are having laptop and all, those who can do execute the program, you can do that. So here it is alpha is equal to minus 5. Alpha is equal to minus 5 is the position of the pole in S-plane. So what this experiment we are going to do is, I'm going to define a position of pole, and you have to tell me what is it's going to be the time domain response of that. So I'll give you ys. So if I give you ys is equal to 1 by s plus 5, you have to understand that s is equal to minus 5. That means in time domain yt will be equal to e raised to minus 5t. So actually you have to plot e raised to minus 5t. So input is s is equal to minus 5 for that ys, and response output will be e raised to minus 5t. And after you find this, you have to comment whether this characteristic is stable or unstable. So this is one thing. Second case I put here. Okay, y is equal to s plus 3. Let's say y is equal to s plus 3. Pole is in the right side of s plane. So here e raised to minus 5t, it is stable. So 3-4 things you have to do. First thing, whatever things I am doing today, suppose if I do for s plus 5, you cannot take s plus 5 because s plus 5 I am doing. So you have to, in that case, you can do s plus 3, you can do s plus 7, you can do s plus 19, anything you can do. So whatever I do, the same thing you have to do, but not with the same value of poles. If I do s plus 3, you can do s plus 7. If I do s minus 11, you can do for s minus 2, all those things. So the same thing you have done for experiment number 2. same of my code, but with different values you have to plot. So you have to find out this response, and you have to comment that whether the response is stable response or unstable response. So now I will take s minus 3. Ys is equal to 1 by s minus 3. That I will take. Next line you have to say that y s is equal to 1 minus 1 by s minus 3 means yt is equal to e raised to 3t. And what is the response of e raised to 3t? This is the response of e raised to 3t. And you're finding that this is an increasing exponential. Increasing exponential means area under the curve is not converging. So that is another word you should remember. What is that? It is called converging. So here this output is called as converging. Converging means it is converging to zero. It is trying to be asymptotic. So in that case, this is converging means the area under the curve is going to be finite. Area under the curve is going to be finite means whatever yt you have found, yt is equal to e raised to minus 5t, that is going to produce a stable response. And we know that for impulse response, yt is equal to gt. Gt is nothing but the transfer function of the moment. So yt is equal to gt. Gt is converging means gt is a stable transfer function. That is where we have to end our discussion. Here, system transfer function gs equal to gs. I am saying because this book I have used gs, so now I'll be calling that gs only. So gs equal to ys because rs equal to 1 is equal to 1 by s minus 3. 1 by s minus 3 means what is the yt or gt? This is e raised to 3t. So this is the graph for e raised to 3t. At t is equal to 0, this is starting at 1. As t is increasing, this amplitude is increasing. So what you have to comment is, after drawing this, and you have to add some comment to your graph. Just don't show the graph like this. You have to show some comment to the graph. And in this graph, you have to say that this is an increasing kind of exponential waveform. And this is produced by 1 by s plus 3. So area under the curve is infinite. Hence 1 by s plus 3 or ys or gs or yt or gt, it is a not a BIBO. So not is a bounded output, so it is unbounded output. Hence ys, gs, yt, dt, they are actually an unbounded transfer function. So this is the first case. There is a second case we will do. Then what we will do is we'll take two poles in the left side. We will take two poles in the right side. We will take one pole in the left side, that is 1 by s plus 5 into 1 by s minus 3. We will find what is the response. So last day I had shown you that maybe there are 100 poles in a system, 99 poles are in the left side, but one pole is in the right side. So that one single pole will make the system unstable. Okay, so maybe there are 1000 poles, 999 poles are in the left side, but one pole is in the right side. That single pole will make the system unstable. So not a single pole should be there in the right side of the S-plane for the system to be completely stable. Okay, so we'll take these cases that two pole in the left side, two pole in the right side, one pole in the left, one pole in the right, and for every case you have to draw what is the impulse response. Draw means you have to generate that plot in MATLAB, and you have to show that, and you have to give the comment. Okay, so take the screenshot of the impulse response and comment below that whether it is bounded output or unbounded output, system is stable or unstable. So pole position, response, and comment on stability. So these are the three things we have to do for many cases. I will repeat: pole position in the S-plane, then impulse response, that is whatever we are drawing here, and last thing is comment on stability. So these three things we have to do for many cases. Now these are all real poles. So what all cases are possible in real pole? One pole in the left side, one pole on j omega axis, that is exactly at the origin. So you'll be finding it is the 1 by s. So in that case, transfer function gs or ys equal to 1 by s. What is 1 by s? 1 by s is nothing but unit impulse response in time domain. So below whatever is drawn, this is called as impulse response. So this impulse response is nothing but marginally stable. This is neither stable nor unstable. Okay, so this is marginally stable. So you are finding that if pole is in the right side, it is increasing. If the pole is on j omega axis origin, it is flat, and if pole is in the left hand side, it is decreasing. That means from right to left, if you are going in the S-plane, the stability increases, and from the left to right, if you are coming in the S-plane, then stability decreases. So pole position from right to left in the S-plane, stability increases, and pole position from left to right in the S-plane, the stability decreases or instability increases. This is what you have to prove. So the cases can be one pole in the right side, one pole in the left side, one pole on center. So these are three cases: two pole in the left side, two pole in the right side, and two pole on this thing. Again, it will make system unstable. So we'll see that 1 by s square, what kind of response it gives. So 1 by s square will give you t. So two poles on origin, what kind of response it will produce? 1 by a square. 1 by a square is nothing but t. T is an unstable waveform. So all those things we will do, and then we will go in the y direction. Now in this diagram, you can find here there is one pole here. Okay, so one pole is here means another pole is there at the bottom that they have not shown. But don't get confused, there cannot be a single pole in this is a imaginary pole, that is it may be minus 2 plus 2 j omega. Okay, so it is minus 2, that means sigma part, real part is minus 2, real part is negative, that means it's a stable pole, but it is in the y direction. So this pole s plus 5 or s is equal to minus 5 is called as a real pole. This is called as a real pole, but this is called as an imaginary pole, and imaginary pole are always in conjugate. So if I am finding pole at minus 2 plus 2j, then there is another pole at minus 2 minus 2j. So we'll take these two poles, that is s is equal to 2 plus 2j and s is equal to 2 minus 2j, or minus 2 plus 2j and minus 2 minus 2j, and we will find what kind of response it is giving. So that is another case. And what happens if we are taking the pole deep into S plane? If you are taking the pole deep into S plane, you will find that the fall will become faster. Okay, and what happens if you are taking the pole above towards up? So this omega value, if you are increasing, so this position is called as minus 2 plus 3j. So that 3j is nothing but omega. So minus sigma plus j omega we call it. Okay, so this is a sigma axis and this is a j omega axis. So minus 2 plus 3j and minus 2 plus 10j. What is the response difference between that? That means one pole is here. So one pole means couple of poles. So minus 2 plus minus 3j and minus 2 plus minus 10j. What is the difference between their response? So if you are finding the pole is there at minus 2 plus minus 3, kind of a sinusoid waveform. So whenever I am saying minus 2 minus 3j, actually I'll repeat very fast. If I am saying that the pole is at minus 2, is this? So there is minus 2 plus minus 3 actually is minus 2 is actually the exponential. There is a connectivity issue. Okay, so I was explaining what happens if the pole is imaginary. So it is minus 2 plus 3j. So minus 2 means e raised to minus 2. So that defines this curve from the top. Okay, so how fast will be the fall, and plus 3j. So plus 3j is nothing but sine of 3. So this undulations or this frequency is actually given by the imaginary part. So if it is minus 2 plus 10j, in that case this frequency will be higher. So now pair of poles on negative side, so minus 2 plus minus 3j, what will be its impulse response? Then you come here, plus 2 plus minus 3j. So for minus 2 plus minus 3j, you are finding it is a decreasing kind of a sinusoidal. So this is called as a damped oscillation. Okay, kind of under damping, and it is actually falling. So this oscillation is falling with a exponential curve of e raised to minus 2t, because this is e raised to minus 2t. Here also you are finding the same thing, that is 2 plus minus 3j. So one is up, there is another pole down. So it is 2 plus minus 3j, and you are finding that this is actually increasing with e raised to 2t, because in this case the real part of that pole is actually positive. So 2 plus minus 3j, that is the pole position, and you are finding it is an increasing kind of a sinusoidal. Now the question is, if the pole is on j omega axis, so the real part is 0, sigma is 0. So if the pole position is suppose plus minus 3j, plus minus 3j means what is going to be the response of the system. So in that case, you are going to find it is going to be a sine 3t. That means there is going to be a sustained oscillation. So for left side poles, imaginary poles, it is a decreasing kind of oscillation. For right side poles, it is an increasing kind of oscillation. This is unstable. So whatever you're finding is this is stable in the left side, this is in the right side, and whenever the pole is on j omega axis, that is plus minus 3j omega. So real part is 0 plus minus 3j omega. Then it is going to be a sustained oscillation. So all these things we are going to check. Now there can be combinations. That means if there are 4 poles here, 1, 2, below 3 and 4. So there are 4 poles, 2 pairs. So one is in the left side, one is in the right side. What would be the response? Obviously, any pole in the right side would make the system unstable, and it will be a increasing kind of a exponential. Likewise, last case, which is very important, you can write it down, that if there is same pole on j omega axis. That means suppose if I'm finding here at plus 3 j omega there are 2 poles, and minus 3 j omega there are 2 poles. That means j omega axis, if there is pole on the same position, more than one pole. What I said, here it is plus 3j, here it is minus 3j. The response will be sinusoidal. But there are 2 poles here and there are 2 poles below. That means 3j omega, and below minus 3j omega, minus 3j omega. In that case, the system response will be infinite. So depending on the position of the poles, what is going to be the impulse response, that we will see. So I will be doing only the impulse response part, and I'll show you first few cases how to find the step response, how to find the ramp response, and then I will give you the cases for all impulse responses, and you have to find out equivalent step response and ramp response for all. I'll repeat again what is our course of work. I will show you all the impulse responses that we are supposed to find out, all the cases. That means all the pole position for which we are supposed to find out the impulse response. You have to do that for different values. I told you that if I'm doing for s plus 5, you have to do for s plus 7, or you can do for s plus 3. Don't do for s plus 5. Okay, and take the screenshot, only the graph part, and paste it in your document, whatever you are doing. Those who don't have laptop and all, you can do this in your mobile, and whatever waveform you are getting, draw it properly. So that is there. So I'll give you all the cases for impulse response, and I'll show you few cases how to get the step response and ramp response. So I will give you all the cases of impulse response, step and ramp you have to do afterward, and you have to put in your journal paper. So for around 20 impulse response case we will do, and remember this diagram, you can take a screenshot of this diagram now itself. So I'm giving you some time. Now itself you can take the screenshot, or I will upload this diagram, or you can find it in page number 219 of M. Gopal. Okay, so this diagram is, you have to remember, they give you this kind of position of poles, and they ask you what is going to be the impulse response of the system, and stable or unstable, that you have to comment. So here you are finding its area is bounded, it's a stable. Here you are finding area is increasing, unstable. Here you are finding area is increasing under the curve, unstable. Here area is confined, it is stable. This case the area is neither increasing nor decreasing, it is a constant area. So this is marginally or critically stable. Here also it is sustained oscillation, it is marginally or critically stable. So pole on j omega axis, it is marginally critically stable. Pole in the left hand side, perfectly stable. Pole in the right side, unstable. So these are the things you have to do. Now straight away go to the MATLAB and keep on doing exactly the